do I invite? There we go.
Hello.
Hey, here we go.
Okay, success first.
Make sure I'm not distorting my sound as well.
I know, I was like with the light in my room, I was like, oh, this is wrong.
Right.
But hi, if you're joining us on Facebook, I'm Jenny from Lemon House Theatre. You'll be able to see me, but you'll be hearing Samia Djilli, who's the other co-artistic director of Lemon House. And if you're on Instagram, hopefully you're seeing us both. Fingers crossed.
Hopefully, yeah, I can see us both, so I think it's fine.
This is fine.
But yeah, hi everyone. So far, so we are going to be doing this Instagram live today, kind of like a insight into our company, Lemon House Theatre, and we're going to be telling you a bit more about us. So hopefully, you'll find it interesting.
Yeah. And
yeah, Jenny, do you want to go ahead?
Oh yeah, no, I was just going to say thanks to King's Head Theatre for inviting us to be a part of King's Head KHTOnline. It's nice to be a part of it. We've like a couple of years ago, I had a play on at King's Head Theatre that was just for a short run about Section 28, so it's nice to be doing something else for King's Head Theatre. So yeah, thank you to Shardy. And keep, if you've got any like questions or comments, like please feel free to ask them. It'll be a pretty chilled half an hour, so yeah, we can chat about wherever you fancy, really.
So we are co-artistic. Oh, my voice is going to go then. We are co-artistic directors of Lemon House Theatre, which we kind of started over a year ago now, right? About a year and a half, even.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was last March.
Yeah. And I think, well, to be honest, I guess we didn't necessarily know when we started having the conversation what we were going to attempt to achieve in that first year. But we achieved quite a bit, which we're going to talk about. And should I say? I guess we founded it together because we were sick and tired a little bit of not seeing theatre that so many of us and our friends and our colleagues were talking about, like wanting to see. And it was, a really positive thing for us to say, okay, let's start making some work that represents, and I know everyone hates that word, but that represents the stories that we really want to see. And there's so many wonderful companies doing that, but we felt that we did have like a personal interest to kind of put on that. And we kind of have our tagline. So we sat in foils one day, like the pretentious artists we are, for about 5 hours or something, thinking, okay, how do we put this into the correct words? Like, and obviously words are so important in theatre, they're the heart of what we do. And we kind of came up with a tagline. I'm going to read it from my screen, which is, we celebrate work that makes theatre unique, so that theatre touches on the live nature of it and the audience and artist relationship. So that's kind of in just what we do. You can go on our website, which is lemonhousetheatre.com.
Nice plug.
It's the full thing. Yeah, and essentially that's what we do. We want to create work that does celebrate the audience and its participation in theatre, because without audience, whether that's online right now, whether it's in a physical space, theatre can only exist to a certain point. So yeah, that's what we do.
Yeah, I think for us, like sometimes as audiences who love theatre, it felt like an audience was sometimes like the last thought. They're seen as like the last part of theatre, like when you get to see it and it's live. But for us, we wanted to kind of involve the audience earlier on through like rehearsed readings and feedback with artists, so that audiences can help develop the artists, but then also that in turn artists can develop the audiences, so that they see their stories told on stage, so that they feel like the play is really valuing them, whether that's through like the form of the play or it's through like post-show events or anything like that. So it's really about that conversation between artists and audiences, I think was quite a big thing for us when we started it. And also, like as you said, Samia, about artists feeling like it's a space to kind of tell their stories truthfully. We wanted it to be Lemon House Theatre because house was kind of the idea of like a community hub where artists could come and they could meet other artists and they could tell the stories they wanted to tell, and it feel like a space for them was quite a big part of it. And then I think we get asked a lot about Lemon, like why we went for Lemon House Theatre. Yeah. Partly just because we were like, we liked the name, but also for us, we wanted theatre that was like very vibrant and felt like alive. It didn't feel like passive or stagnant. I think sometimes theatre conjures up an image of like thousands of people watching just like a person on stage who's not really engaging with them, and we wanted something that just felt a bit more alive. So that was kind of why we went for Lemon House Theatre as the name, which I think is the question we get the most.
also we liked creating the lemon logo. So
yeah, we had a lot of fun with the colours and the design of it.
Yeah, and I guess we can go into kind of how we met, and I think there's something like even my own friends and stuff will say, like, how did you get from A to B? Like, how did you go from kind of meeting, from your friends, starting a theatre company? And essentially we met because we worked for a website called London Playwrights Blog, which if none of you have heard of, please go and check them out because they post opportunities for like artists all over the country, which is really, really great. And for a lot of people who might not know where to start, if you've got a short piece, or it's a great place to go and find out what's happening in the online world as well as what's happening in theatre opportunities and stuff like that. So we met working there, and I was someone who sourced the opportunities for the website, and Jen, your title was
editor, I think. Yeah.
And from there we just kind of became friends, first of all, and it was like I was like, oh yeah, okay, cool, I can go see these shows with now.
Yeah, another theatre person.
Yeah. And I guess, we kind of went through different stages separately in our careers, which was, I don't know, do you want to kind of talk about your background?
Yeah, cool. So for me, like, I came to theatre slightly different from Samia. I've always been interested in writing, and enjoyed theatre as an audience member, but I never really thought it was something I could write because it seemed reserved for a certain type of person. And then I didn't go to university, I didn't study writing, but I sort of wanted to learn it myself, and so I just ended up reading lots and lots of scripts, which I recommend as if you want to get into theatre, is the best thing to do, is just to read and see as much as you can, and particularly now so much is online, which is great. And so I kind of learned the form of how to write a script from just reading them, and then I started doing short scripts and submitting them to new writing nights, actually through London Playwrights Blog. And I think the first one I did was a couple of years ago for a company called Writers Avenue or Theatres Avenue. And then from there, just kind of did a few more shorts, and then started working on kind of longer projects and meeting other artists. And I did Soho Theatre's Writers Lab and kind of connected with more people through that way. And and then we started the company kind of just over a year ago.
I kind of went the more, I guess, kind of institutional way, where I went to university and I did the whole kind of creative writing degree. Scared my immigrant parent to death, who was like, why are you not becoming a doctor? And I was like, I'm sorry, I don't know. And I did a creative writing degree, and I actually found it really, really useful because that sounds so stupid, your degree was useful, but I mean useful in the sense of I actually could build a career out of it. Pardon?
No, it's just I didn't go to university, so whenever you talk about your degree, I'm like, yeah, tell me more. I don't understand.
No, I mean, I think, a creative degree is always really, I think, subjective in opinion, because, you're going to essentially upskill yourself in a very particular thing. And I know, I've had a few of my friends, older friends who have got kids and stuff, saying to me, is it worth it? I was like, I think for me it definitely was, because I came out of it kind of knowing what kind of work I wanted to produce and what kind of work I wanted to write. And that was through just a lot of self-teaching as well as just kind of attending the classes. So I did go the more stereotypical route. I kind of got the degree. But coming out of university, I started doing a lot of writing stuff for free, essentially. So I was involved in various scratch nights. I was involved in a company called University Women of the Arts, which their core goal was to kind of help with abuse in the arts, really, in the kind of what women are facing and the injustices that are very gender-based, just to kind of tackle some of those. And so I got really involved in that kind of company, and was kind of a trainee assistant producer for them, and whilst at the same time kind of writing things and having scratch nights on it, like Theatre 503, which I kind of co-self-produce and stuff like that. So I eventually then went to go and work for different theatre companies. I worked for a theatre company called Carly, which is at KALI, which you should all go and check out because they do really, really good work for women of South Asian descent. And I now work for a company called Tamasha as their assistant producer. So kind of a different route, but I continued to write throughout that time. And I think one of the kind of best things I ever got taught at university was that you didn't have to write a play and then hope to win this £10,000 award or something, because that really is needle in a haystack. You can actually go ahead and build a team yourself and start self-producing, and start kind of building your own career as a writer. It's not that easy, because obviously you're not getting, like a full payment from it each time. You're going to do some work for free, which is obviously a privileged thing to be able to do. Hence why, you have your job and you have your writing job. So you have a writing CV and you have your main CV. But that's kind of where Lemon House came in, because it meant that we had an actual company where we could go, okay, we can write for this, and we can also start working with other artists and stuff like that. So yeah, that's how we essentially got to the origin story of this company.
Sounds like a superhero film.
Yeah, I guess we could go into now. Like for us, it was so interesting to have that first year because it was so busy for us.
Yeah, we learned a lot in that first year, I think.
Yeah.
So, like, we should say, like, as Samia kind of already said, we both have full-time jobs alongside this. I think a lot of like theatre and arts, it's kind of the like money financial side of it is quite hidden. But like us, like we couldn't do this without having full-time jobs as well, and so a lot of our like day-to-day stuff is in like, like we have a WhatsApp between us. It's just called like Lemon House, where we like update each other and we like have our meetings after work. Like we come meet each other in offices. So like we're running everything we do. We run alongside our main jobs, which I think is quite typical for artists, but not really spoken about as much. Kind of a bit like hush hush. So you shouldn't like reveal that you have other jobs. But like we couldn't do this without other jobs.
No, and I think for a lot of people that's the case as well. I mean, so many artists where it's like, this is my other job. Like I'm balancing a whole career and this as another career, and it's hard work, like, but it's obviously really rewarding at the same time because it is
definitely
a creative outlet. And yeah, I mean, I love doing it, but it is definitely worth the kind of, if you're interested in starting an early career company, if you're interested in becoming, a writer, to know that it's probably going to be a while until you get to that point where you would be doing that solely.
Yeah.
So
when we started this and we like broke down what we wanted to do like year by year, we kind of had that ultimate ambition of being like, we want this to be a point where we can do this like more full time. And so like with our first year, we ended up doing kind of a range of projects to like kick off the company, so that then we could be clearer on the route it was we wanted to take, and also show the kind of work that we were making to like introduce ourselves as a company. I think because theatre in like a great way has like a lot of emerging companies, which is brilliant. It's like making it clear like where you sit within that, and not that you're competing with other artists, but like where you fit within the scene and who you support within that as well, like the kind of work that is similar and different and things like that. So like with our first year, we did, was it in July that we did mixtape? Yeah, July?
Yeah, last July 2019. I believe it was the middle of. Yeah,
it feels like time feels weird. But yeah, so last July we did our very first event, which was a new writing night called Mixtape, and we did it at St Margaret's House, which is an arts charity where we're actually now associate artists, which is really cool. And it was a new writing night just for mixed race artists, and involved 4 short pieces. Samia's mixed Nigerian.
I identify as mixed race, so I'm of English and Algerian origin. And so the kind of night was just another space to join into the kind of collective space of theatre, where artists who do identify as coming from that background had a night dedicated to their work, really, and a chance to kind of express those stories, because they exist and they can be, kind of beautiful and traumatic and all the kind of various adjectives. So that was our first kind of kick-off night.
We worked with
a lot of artists as well.
We worked with a lot of really cool artists. Our writers have all like got brilliant projects of their own. Like Suzanne's worked on a show called Barbara's Footsteps that has been on at Volts, and she's still like developing. Cheryl did like one of these lives, and she runs Purple Rain Drama. Yeah, which is amazing. Marcus similarly did one of these, and he runs the Upsetters, and like they've since worked together, which is really cool. And then Shadi works at Kingston Theatre. Pardon, sorry.
Yeah. We had Kwame as well, who was actually in the Barbershop Chronicles.
Yeah, we watched it the other day.
Really
and we were like, Kwame.
Yeah. So that was our first kind of kick-off night, and we had like quite a big audience actually, which was really nice.
It ended up selling out, which was a surprise, but also like shows the taste for this work. Like when we started it, we wanted to create those stories that we didn't see. Like I'm a disabled queer woman, like Sammy is mixed race of a working class background, and we like wanted to see those stories on stage. And so it was nice seeing there was also an audience for those stories, because I think you're told often there's not. And so we were like, oh, here's physical proof that actually is. So that was really cool. And
then I guess we went from there and kind of jumped right into the deep end of doing 2 shows at Bunker in September last year, which feels like it was about 5 years ago now, because
I'm really sad about but I wish the Bunker was still here. They were such a good kick-off space for us.
But yeah, so we essentially went from that, and we were working on scripts of our own who went through, like, they had so many different names. We had a whole series of work that we were going to do, but we wrote 2 plays. So I wrote a play called Different Sand, which was about kind of, I guess, the Algerian diaspora, kind of 2 sisters, together dealing with very different personality types. Someone who is very much a Londoner, someone who's very much, works odd jobs and lives with her sister, and is a fan of football and all these things. And then the elder sister who wants to get married and settle down and wears a headscarf and is very much identifying with being an Algerian woman for all intents and purposes. And it was a 2-hander, and we did it in a very short amount of time and managed to pull it off. And Jen wrote Willow, which was about...
Yeah, so it was another 2-hander as well, and it was about the kind of breakup of this queer female relationship. And it was a comedy, and it was kind of to do with how we tell our own stories and how it's not really possible to, like, tell your own story honestly. Like, there's a saying of being like, oh, there's, like, your side, my side, and the truth. But the play was kind of about how, like, there isn't really a truth. Like, there's only ever your version of it. And it was told in, like, a funny way, hopefully, if it worked. But there was, like, it was, like, a TED Talk, and there was, a projector, and it was, like, a presentation mixed with a quiz show. Like, it was all a bit mad. But it was really fun, and we had, like, a good time putting them on. Again, like, we worked with some brilliant artists. Collaboration is, like, a really key part of the company, and, like, we couldn't have done it without all the people that worked so hard on that show, on both shows. We did them as a double bill. They were, like, back to back at the Bunker as part of their, I think it was their first B-side season, which was really cool as well.
Yeah, it was. So they had other... Kira just commented. It's just said, Kira was in it. So it was their first B-side season. They'd had other kind of, I guess, scratch nights and new development work nights before that, and done series of work, but this was a new kind of project that they launched, and we were part of it amongst some really, really great plays. And what was interesting for us is that one of the kind of core kind of reasons we did it, and one of the core kind of aspects of each part was that, like, the play that I worked on had a all-female creative team who every single artist identified as coming from an Algerian background, and Jen's play had an all-female identifying team who are all identified as being queer. And we kind of, in the kind of our mission statement of involving audiences and making sure our artists are kind of connected to the work, it did really feel like that. It felt like we had a very family vibe for each of the plays, and that people were coming in and saying, I totally get this, I know what I'm going to do with it, I know how I'm going to approach this, and I understand it on a level where I can then transcribe it or transfer it to an audience in a particular way. And that was such a cool part of it as well, I think.
Such a nice experience. Yeah, when the audience left, like, so with Willow, there were 2 characters, with Gabby and Lottie, and they kind of had, like, different sides of the breakup. And, like, you'd hear audience members leaving and be like, oh, I'm, like, more like a Gabby or more like a Lottie. And it felt nice that there was that, like, identification. And then with Different Sand, there was, like, one joke that I remember you writing, and you were like, people only get this if they're Algerian. And then there was the night that we, like, heard everyone laugh in the back row, and we were like, oh, like, this is nice.
The Algerian community has come.
Yeah, like, this is, like, where we wanted to be within theatre. So we kind of, since then, have been continuing to, like, to build that sense of community that we hope that we started with the company, so that even though we run the company, like, we both say that we're not the company, if that makes sense. Like, like, it's bigger than us.
This company has been created for people.
Yeah.
Like, it's not, I guess to a certain extent it's for us as well, obviously. But I don't think we do anything without thinking, like, who is this for? Like, who's going to benefit from this? And what is it doing to the collective change of the industry that is still very much needed, and as we can see worldwide, change is needed on so many different levels. But how will, even just on a smaller scale, how will our kind of, little pieces do that for their kind of relevant communities, and then so on? How will other people then come and maybe understand a bit more, maybe leave with a little bit more understanding, and involving the audience hopefully can do that in the long run as well.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, and we're not stopping there.
Oh, I was just, Well, I mean, Great Minds Think Alike. I was about to be like, and because we had originally, before, obviously, like, this all happened. I don't want to use the phrase like we're in such a weird time, because I feel like that's all I've heard, but like because we're in such a weird time. We had originally planned to do a scratch night at Theatre Djilli that was called Behind Closed Doors, that was for writers of marginalised genders, and was going to be to do with, all the pieces were going to be to do with sex, bodies and relationships, and particularly how that intersects with like other areas of your identity. And because again, like we wanted to maybe have those conversations that people felt like they couldn't have elsewhere, or that they felt safer to have those conversations in the kind of community that we were creating. And we were going to kind of involve the audience with having like a confessions board and stuff like that, which would have been super fun. And so we're hoping to bring that back in autumn. So if you're a writer and are looking for like places to submit, like please like follow us and check out what we're up to, because we'd love to read your work. But yeah, we're also doing digital
going
stuff.
forward as well. We'll continue to do, especially when we can get back into physical spaces, we will continue to do scratch, we will continue to do performances, and the point is to support other early career artists as well, in any way we can. So yeah, do keep an eye on us, because hopefully we can continue to do it.
Yeah, and if you have any like questions as well about like joining in on scratch nights, anything else, like comment on this as well, and we'll like keep an eye out on the comments. But yeah, so while we can't be in physical spaces, sadly, we have been doing some digital stuff, which, do you want to say a bit more about, Samia?
Sure. So we, I guess we have been commissioned to do some digital work, which is really cool. And we're going, it's titled Lemon Lounge, which is, it's going to be a series of, I guess, 6 conversations, kind of curated conversations, which are all kind of work in progress at the moment. So again, yeah, keep an eye on us, because you'll see more. But we are essentially kind of following on from the work, I guess, we did on Willow in Different Sand, and future work we want to do around, you know, similar artists that do come from the MENA background, who do identify as kind of being from the LGBTQ plus community. Those conversations are going to basically delve further into that and cover certain subjects within the MENA theatre community, within the queer theatre community. And we're going to speak to a bunch of really cool artists. We're going to hopefully have some really, really great, you know, kind of recorded readings, and you know, I guess a lot of this content is available at the moment, but from our perspective, it's going to be very representative of these particular artists. So if you are a MENA artist, if you're interested in MENA work, which I will say is Middle Eastern and North African work, this would be a great chance to kind of just have an open, honest conversation with hopefully the artists that we would work with, who would be our audience.
Yeah, so there'll be, I think, starting in July. At the moment, we're kind of arranging the readings and the interviews, but yeah, again, like just very like kind of chilled conversations with other artists to kind of explore the ideas that we started exploring with our plays. And those talks will both be like a piece of digital work in itself, but it's also supporting like the R&D that we're doing for our next like round of shows that we're working on, that hopefully we'll be able to announce a bit closer to the time. But yeah, if you want to kind of stay up to date with when we're doing that, as Samia said, our website is lemonhousetheatre.com, and on social media we're at Lemonhouse Theatre on Instagram, then at LemonhouseTC on Twitter. And so we're kind of be posting updates about when those talks are coming out, and we're doing them in collaboration with St Margaret's House, who are the arts venue where we're the associate artists, and they've got like a lot of other digital work going on as well, so do check out what else is going on there. Yeah, it's super cool.
And it's really great as well, because I think for anyone who is part of an early career company or an early career artist, if you're kind of confused as to do what right now, I would say approach anyone that has an associate company scheme and just say, hey, can I get a bit more advice? Because this for us allowed us to continue the company and its work at a time where theatre has had like a massive shift in the way that it's presenting itself. So being able to have these conversations means that we don't just stop them, you know, kind of, and leave them in 2019. They can continue here as well. So we're really excited about it. And yeah, you know, I don't have to follow us if you don't want, but please do if you want to keep updated. And you know, have a look on our website, as Jen said, because we'll be putting them on there as well. They'll be completely free to listen to as well. So just for your entertainment, really, just for you to kind of get a bit more of an insight. We're really excited about it.
Yeah, and as Samia said as well, like if you are looking to do something during this time, and like maybe the work that you had, like with us, like with our scratch night, like sadly can't happen, like do reach out to other artists, like even though this is maybe like a sadder time within theatre, and no one really knows what the theatre industry will look like, but it is also a time that I've seen so many like producers and venues and like other artists be like, get in touch if you have questions. Like I got like a free reading of one of my scripts from like someone who's just like on Twitter and was like, oh, like I have some time, like let me know if you like have something for me to read and I can give some advice and feedback on it. And there's so many artists doing that and like being so gracious with their time, and so don't be afraid if you are looking for something to do, to like just to reach out. Like there's no harm in asking someone like, can I have some help? Like we did that, and that's how we're now doing some, like that's how the company started, and also now how we're doing digital work as well.
Completely. Yeah, I guess we can start to ask if anyone has any questions or anything. And because we've got a few minutes left of this live, I hope it's been...
Oh, sorry. No, I was just going to say, I just realised because I'm on the Facebook as well, and I was like, I really hope they can hear Samia. I think so. I think we're good.
Well, if they can't, I'm sure it's fine.
Just imagine the brilliant things that she said.
But yeah, hopefully this would have been helpful to get a bit more of an insight into kind of what we do, how, you know, kind of new companies do emerge. As I said, it's just kind of people coming together and with a collective experience and saying, okay, how do we share these stories? And I think that anyone who's doing that, it's really powerful, because I think sharing stories, as we can see at the moment, even with people kind of, you know, with the protests happening yesterday and with everything happening in the world right now, sharing stories is so important, because that's how you get to learn more about the world. And unfortunately, some of it's not great. But with us, hopefully, you know, there's a bit more of an insight into the work that we do.
Yeah. Okay. Also on Facebook, King's Head and Cheryl have both said that they can hear us, so I'm happy.
Yeah.
I like work. I should say outside of Lemon House Theatre, I like work in digital marketing, and so I'm always like, have I done this right? Have I used the digital stuff right? It's really shameful if I'm not.
Yeah, I've got producer hat on. Like, I'm sure it's working. We've done it.
Yeah, it's good. Our different thing. I feel like that's actually helped as well. As being like our jobs outside of theatre has helped like make Lemon House
completely
into our project. Yeah. So like use the skills that you have. Like for me, I hadn't really thought that like marketing would be a useful skill in theatre, but like it really is. So like use what you already have as well when you're like carving out your space. And I couldn't run a company by myself. Like I'm so glad that I'm doing this with Samia. Like so yeah, like find your people as well, like who you want to work with.
Yeah, and also I think you'd be surprised what smaller opportunities that you'll take will build your confidence, your skill set, will upskill you to the point where you can start building that career even more. Because I meet people sometimes and they're like, I want to do a complete career change. You know, I don't want to work in finance anymore, or I don't want to work in retail anymore, whatever. I would love to start, you know, building a career in theatre and the arts, and like just embrace any kind of opportunity that, you know, comes your way and feels like something you want to do, because that's kind of how you end up in these particular positions. Like working for Tamasha, kind of getting to this point, it was genuinely doing about 1,000 small things.
Yeah, the same. Yeah.
It's
like all the small things that you don't think so will then like kind of carry on to make something bigger, I think.
Completely. And even if you ever have imposter syndrome, just shut that down, because
like
you're not.
You're like, as like you don't even have to create anything, and if you're not creating at the moment, you're still an artist. Like you never need to justify taking up that space. Like it's, you know, like life happens, but like we're all still kind of working through it, and it's we'll kind of see everyone on the other side. And if you want to keep an eye on our digital work, as we said, head over to lemonhousetheatre.com. We have a mailing list and all that stuff. And thank you also to King's Head for having us on here. They've got KHTOnline happening every day, so come back and check out like their website and their social media and kind of keep up to date, because there's lots of cool other artists that are doing stuff this week.
Right, I think we're kind of at the end of our live now. Our live now. But yeah, thank you so much. And as Jen said, you know, keep an eye on King's Head's website and their Instagram and stuff and the work they're doing, because I mean, it's necessary at the moment. We all need art. Sounds pretentious, but we do. Like, we need entertainment. So
what a great ending remark. Love it.
We need art. Pretentious ending remark, but same way you have a Netflix account, like, you know, kind of follow theatres and stuff, and hopefully you can go see some cool stuff during this time as well. All right.
Yeah, but thank you for having us. And yeah, you'll find us at Lemon House Theatre. So just come and say hey if you've got any questions. If anything we spoke about but you didn't want to like comment about it, feel free to email us. Yeah, hopefully we'll see more of you soon. But thank you for having us. We'll speak to you soon.
Bye everyone.